Technofeudalism is a 2023 work of social economic theory by the Greek writer Yanis Varoufakis. Varoufakis was born in Athens in 1961. His parents were active on the political left and both were scientists by profession. He moved to England in 1978, where he studied maths and statistics at Essex before gaining a PhD in economics from Birmingham in 1987. Since then, he's been a university lecturer and advisor to the Greek government, and in 2015, Greece's finance minister during the austerity crisis. Technofeudalism is written in the form of a letter to the author's father, who was a committed socialist and as a scientist always intensely curious about the implications of new technology. After Yanis helped him connect to the internet in 1987, his father posed a question. Now that computers speak to each other, will this new network make capitalism impossible to overthrow, or might it finally reveal its Achilles heel? Technofeudalism, begun just a few weeks after his father's death at the age of 95, is an attempted answer. Its subtitle is What Killed Capitalism? For Varoufakis, capital still exists, though capitalism does not. Today, what we are witnessing is the rise of a new form of capital with a capacity to command so unprecedented that it behoves us to rethink entirely the system to which it gave its name. What we've entered into is a system based not on profit, the hallmark of capitalism, but on rent, the hallmark of feudalism. Just as in the medieval feudal system, lords of the manor extracted rent from vassals, so in the new system, cloud capitalists such as Amazon extract rent from vassal capitalists who pay for the privilege of doing business on their website. The catch is that they have no choice. Large or small, Varoufakis says, all vassal capitalists are dependent to a greater or lesser extent on selling their wares via an e-commerce site such as Amazon, eBay, or Alibaba. This leads him to another distinction between cloud proles, who would, for example, be Amazon employees who work in its warehouses, and cloud serfs, who would be Amazon's customers. Varoufakis thinks proles and serfs could come together to boycott Amazon in a combination of trade union and consumer activism. But he's not pinning his hopes on that. His conclusion, so there you have it, Dad, he writes in chapter 7, is that technofeudalism is far worse than capitalism. In the book's first appendix, he represents his thesis in the language of formal economics, although he admits that he's sceptical of economists' conventional claims to be objective and scientific. What I like about technofeudalism is that it's engagingly written. The author never talks down to the reader, and he obviously cares about social justice. It's hard not to warm to him. But I don't agree with its central claims. Firstly, I'm not sure that cloud capitalists like Amazon really are charging rent for a place on their website. I've got books on Amazon, and Amazon takes a cut if I sell one, but if I don't sell anything, I don't lose anything. In that sense, it's more like tax than rent. But capitalists are used to paying tax on their earnings. It's what happens when you trade within the borders of any nation state. I can't see any good reason for thinking that e-commerce represents anything different to that. Secondly, how much power do the techno-feudalists really possess? In actual feudalism, I could throw a vassal off my land into abject poverty on a whim. But imagine Jeff Bezos, say, trying to throw Heinz off Amazon just because he choked on a can of soup. Heinz would call its lawyers, its lobbyists would get to work, questions would be asked in Parliament, and antitrust laws would be invoked. We'd soon find out who the bosses were. Varoufakis doesn't think this is possible because, as he puts it in chapter 7, how does one break up Amazon, Facebook, PayPal, or indeed Tesla today? Well, in September 2023, the US Federal Trade Commission and 17 state attorneys general decided to sue Amazon for illegally maintaining monopoly power. So it must be possible. All in all, techno-feudalism strongly resembles Shoshana Zuboff's 2019 The Age of Surveillance Capitalism, which Varoufakis does discuss in an afterword section called Influences, Readings and Acknowledgements, but dismisses on the grounds that Zuboff considers big tech companies to be monopoly capitalist enterprises which function like utilities. I'm not sure she's wrong. This is a good book, but on a wider level, I'm still unconvinced that companies who are supposedly harvesting our data in order to sell us more commodities are really, relatively speaking, that evil on those grounds alone. I certainly don't think they're far worse than any of capitalism's previous incarnations. You might disagree.